Hello everyone and welcome into the studios of WJHI at Jeffersonville High School. We're here today on January 18th with the second episode of More with Mike. I'm Haley Adams.
And I'm Lily Fondrisi, your moderators, alongside with the Mayor of Jeffersonville, Mike Moore. How are we doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Glad to be here.
We're glad to have you back. Back with us today are members of the WJHI student broadcasting team who will represent the Jeffersonville High School student body. The questions directed towards Mayor Moore about the city of Jeffersonville, what's going on in our community today. So let's start with Justice Bowman.
Hi, Mike.
Hi.
With COVID, we have a lot of changes, but we were just wondering what our summer and spring activities will look like this year.
I'm actually really excited. I just had a meeting with our arts administrator on Friday, and she gave me the whole calendar of things that we're about to get into. How many people do we have that are interested in the arts? Okay, just about a full room here. You know, the city of Jeff, when we came in, we saw an opportunity to put a heavier emphasis on an arts program. I think there were 7 other cities in the state of Indiana that had a designated arts and cultural district. We wanted to be a part of that. So if you look around, not only downtown, but throughout the city, you'll see a lot of art projects and whatnot. But a heavy emphasis, obviously, is downtown, the NOCO district and the arts and cultural district where all of that's at. So very excited about 2022 and all the different events we're going to have. And the thing that I've learned about arts is it brings out a whole different element of the population. People who may not be into watching ball games or going to concerts so much, you know, here's something different. So I always like to try something unusual and something different. Look for the city's newsletter that comes out in April. It's going to give you a complete year of all the different events that we're going to have. And then, of course, you know, the concerts that we put on down on the riverfront at the River Stage are a big part of the entertainment and the arts that we put on as well. That will also be in the newsletter that comes out, Jeff Currents, that comes out in April, but it'll give a whole list of all the different concerts that we have. And the Arts and Cultural District, we built and put it together, opened it at the end of last year, NOCO, the Depot, which is a new stage, artist venue. We put on some smaller concerts there. It's an incredible venue. And what I would really like to do, I was asked to be a judge here for the Jeff High Talent Show about 5 years ago and was blown away with the talent that was put forth by the kids at the high school. Any of you all have talents that would maybe get you into the talent show at Jeff High? I'm looking at about 15. I'd like to think we've got some here. I would love, in the past, I believe you've had it at your auditorium. We've got an incredible venue at the Depot. It's open air. You can have about 400 people comfortably, but we've got a stage and a sound system and a lighting system. I would love to talk with whoever is in charge of putting on the talent show here. I'd love to have it down at the Depot in downtown Jeffersonville. Give it a shot. So, you know, at the end of the school year here, when you all are coming up on it, I'd love to have a conversation and possibly move it down there if there's an interest, because there's definitely an interest on my end.
Good afternoon, Mayor Moore. My question is, what are some events during the summer that you think help separate Jeffersonville as a city?
Some of the events, well, just spoke about the arts, and that's a big part of what makes Jeffersonville different. You know, I'm on TV from time to time because there are a lot of events that we do and a lot of the news channels that are looking for coverage. You know, in the whole Louisville metropolitan area, I hear it from a lot of the reporters, whether it's WDRB or WHAS, WAVE or WLKY. They love coming over to Jeffersonville because there's something different always going on over here. And, you know, we put on not only just these concerts, which are incredible. You know, when you can put a concert on the riverfront and have a barge out here with a band, and you're looking at the skyline of Louisville and the Big Four Bridge, it makes for an incredible venue. And we've got a number of acts that bring in more than 10,000 people down there. So it's a lot of fun, but it's also an economic tool because all of the businesses that are downtown thrive on the nights we put these events on. But we also do some smaller events that maybe only bring in 200 or 300 people, but they're a lot of fun. Shakespeare in the Park. That's something we put on for the last several years. We're going to move it to the Depot this year. And we've got this little arts village that at the Depot and the whole arts and cultural district. If you haven't been down around this, just look for the bright colored metal containers. We're recycled old containers and made them into a little artist village. We've created a stage, we've got restrooms, we've got a bar, we've got food vendors that bring their food trucks up. Makes for a whole lot of fun. You know, and when people are looking for a neat place to live, they're looking for things like that. So quality of life and having entertainment for families, you know, it's definitely attractive to bring families here. But those are tools that you will also see a lot of businesses who are looking for a new place to move to. Jeffersonville's on the top of a whole lot of different companies' list, not only because of our proximity in the country to everything, but because we put a lot of emphasis on quality of life, education, public safety, you know, and the families that live here. So it's just the venues that we've got and the number of them. Again, I would say take a look at the city newsletter when it comes out in April. It's going to have a list of all the calendar events throughout 2022 that you're going to be able to go to.
That's great. Our next question pertains to a very high priority topic in Jeffersonville. You're going to know a lot about it. It's construction. So I'm going to let Mr. Bumgartle take it away.
Hi, Mike.
Hey,
What is the latest on the downtown construction project, and is there a timeline for the expected finish?
yeah, I'm curious. Looking at probably 15 high school juniors and seniors here. Construction downtown. Do you know, is there anybody here that doesn't know what that construction is for? Are you familiar? When you see all of the detour signs, are you aware of what's going on? Because this project, I gave an interview probably about a year and a half ago, and I said, this is going to be probably one of the most expensive projects the city of Jeff's ever done, and when it's done, you're not going to see 90% of where the money went. It's being done on the 25 feet below the streets. Mac Construction is doing the work. It's a 2-year project. It's been going on for about a year now. And basically all of the sewer lines that are in this long proximity throughout downtown, you had some sewer lines that were over 150 years old. Well, I'm 57 and I'm already showing my age, but 150 years, sewer lines collapse. The sewer lines themselves, a lot of them are made from just brick. So just imagine brick and mortar carrying sewage through it. And unfortunately, over the length of time, they've began to crack, they've begun to break. A heavy rain comes in and your sewers come up with the water flow because the drainage goes into the same line. Guess where that goes to? Goes out into the street, goes out into the Ohio River. So it's a mess. It's not pleasant to look at. It's not pleasant to deal with. But the contract with Mac Construction is October the 10th of this year is slated to be finished. I'm confident they will meet that goal. But in the meantime, it's a project nobody likes. You know, it moves around from time to time. Once they dig up and replace and repave this section, they move to the next block. Good thing is we're getting all new sidewalks downtown throughout this corridor path. And down Chestnut Street, we're running new time period lighting, street lighting that's going to give more of a nostalgic, historic feel. but I think the cost of this was somewhere in the ballpark, just this phase, of $20 million. The Environmental Protection Agency came to the city of Jeffersonville long before I was mayor, and they said, you got to fix this problem. You can't let sewage run into the Ohio River. So mayors before me talked about it. Nobody wanted to do it. I didn't particularly want to do it, but you know, I'm going to be handing off a city to you all one day that I hope you're proud to say where you lived. And if I'd have taken this job and hadn't made it a point to get this done, I don't think I would have deserved to be the mayor. Sometimes when you're the mayor or you're in charge, you got to do things that you know are not going to be popular, but they have to be done. And that's where we're at right now. So October 10th of this year, the project is slated to be complete.
Thank you for coming in today, Mike. Obviously, as a mayor, you work with the community as a whole, but a lot of people were wondering what a mayor's relationship with the school systems looks like, and also how you collaborate with them.
Well, I've got a good relationship with Mark Loeffner, our school superintendent. I've got a good relationship with our school board. I can't say that I've always had that positive relationship. The previous superintendent and I butted heads a lot of times, and it wasn't because I thought he was a bad person. I mean, when you're a school superintendent, your goal is to look out for all of the schools throughout the district. Greater Clark brings in Charlestown, New Washington, Utica, Jeffersonville, a little bit of Clarksville. So the responsibility on the person in charge of that responsibility is a little different than mine. My responsibility is to the people of Jeffersonville. Now, I like to help Greater Clark. I also like to reach out if I can. We assist and help New Albany from time to time, and other communities around Clark County. But, when I go to work every day, I've got a commitment to the people that live in Jeffersonville. So there's been some times the school system and me, we've clashed. And sometimes those disagreements become heated. And I, certainly had my challenges with the previous school superintendent. End of the day, when he left, I wished him well. I've got a friendlier relationship, a more personal relationship with Mark Loeffner. He was my kid's principal at Parkview Middle School. But I think he and I see a lot of things the same way. But again, there's going to be times where, as superintendent, he's trying to do something for maybe Charlestown elementary schools that I consider, hey, wait a minute, let's protect Jeff. That's where our differences come in. There's been some elementary schools closed around Jeffersonville the last 10 years. I'm very passionate about protecting and helping Jeffersonville. The downtown elementary school, I took that very personally when the school board voted to close Maple and Spring Hill at a time when I saw our downtown about to explode and thrive. And I pleaded, you can't do this. You're going to, if you're looking to attract new families and businesses at a time when our downtown was just beginning to take off, if you remove that elementary school, it's death. It's death to a community. So I talked the school superintendent into a compromise. I said, let's put it to a vote. Give me the opportunity to garner signatures and let the others who want to close the two elementaries gather their signatures. I think a good compromise is to combine those two schools and put one school in the middle where they can be served by both. And there were plenty of opponents against it, people out in the New Washington area, the Charlestown area, but it was the right thing to do. And I knocked on a lot of doors, as did a whole lot of other people in the community. There were a lot of strong volunteers that believed in the cause for downtown elementary. And we won. We won overwhelmingly. I think it was more than 3-1 vote. But you know, those are the types of issues that come up that possibly put the mayor and the school system at odds with one another. But it's because you're both trying to do what's best for your entity. We are the only city in the state of Indiana. Have you all heard of Jeffersonville's Promise? We are the only city, Jeffersonville, Indiana, where you can graduate your high school and the city will pay for your college education at Ivy Tech. And I just got an update the other day from the chancellor at Ivy Tech. This has been going on for a little more than 2 years now. It's been an incredible response. I had lunch a couple of weeks ago with the lieutenant governor, and she wanted to know, tell me about Jeffersonville. What makes you different? And I brought up Jeffersonville's Promise. You come out of Jeff High with a grade point average of 2.0, we will pay up to your last dollar of tuition for you to go to Ivy Tech for free for 2 years and get a degree. And the reason that's so important is because we've got all of these jobs coming in out at River Ridge. Over 11,000 employees out at River Ridge now. River Ridge is bigger with the workforce out there than the entire city of Charlestown. But the one thing all these businesses that are coming into Jeffersonville need, they need college-educated workforce. And I had to go up to the state legislature and fight for this because I had some state representatives, even here locally over in New Albany, that were trying to stop Jeffersonville's Promise. This is one of the things I really get passionate about, and sometimes I may offend people, but I don't care. There's nothing more important than having the next generation flourish. And Jeffersonville's Promise gave a college education to people who otherwise wouldn't have had that opportunity. So I told the lieutenant governor all about this, and she was unaware. And I'm telling her, you know, we ranked the state of Indiana in the bottom 10 of retaining high school students with college degrees. They go elsewhere. When I was a kid here in the 80s at Jeff High, most of my friends, they graduated high school, they went to college, they went elsewhere. Jeffersonville's Promise is a reason to keep people in Jeff. Get the kids through the high school, get them a college education, put them to work out here at River Ridge. So I'm proud to say Jeffersonville's the only city. We do this with redevelopment dollars. These are dollars collected by all the new businesses, and that's a fund we put into Jeffersonville's Promise will last forever. Long after I'm dead, we've ensured enough money is in there. 100 years from now, Jeffersonville's Promise will still be standing. So any family looking for a place to live, I know how important education is. I may go about it a little differently than the school board and the school superintendent, but it's one of the most valuable tools I have as mayor is to make sure families and businesses know the heavy emphasis we put on a college education. So with that, and then all of the new businesses that are coming out, anybody familiar with where the new movie theater is, that whole area out there, all of the taxes collected by all of that area out there, we're donating 10% of all that new tax revenue back to Greater Clark County schools. So we're helping the Jeff schools, but we're also helping the Charlestown schools, the New Washington schools. But it's okay to have disagreements. At a time our country seems to be at odds, you know, you're either on this side or on that side. No, we need to come together. And the college and the education that I can help to provide for kids growing up here is going to make us all stronger. And school districts and the mayors, we're going to continue to have disagreements from time to time. But if we can, at the end of the day, just say, you know, what's best for the kids, we're going to do everything to get us there. Sorry, a little long-winded there.
Hi, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
As students, we travel a lot back and forth between Jeffersonville and the city of Louisville. I know that you're the mayor of Jeffersonville, but do you work with the city of Louisville at all?
Yeah, I love being across the river from Louisville, Kentucky. One of the neatest things I ever got to do since being mayor, living downtown, recently sold my house on Court Avenue, but I don't know, probably about 5 or 6 years ago, Rod Stewart was in concert at the Yum Center. I walked from downtown Jeff, across the bridge, went to a Rod Stewart concert at the Yum Center, and walked home. You know, it's little things like that make our community, I think, better than anybody else's, because everything Louisville has to offer, we get to take advantage of. You know, an international airport. But I cross that bridge and I come back, I feel a little safer over here. I think our school system is stronger over here. I think we have more respect for our police departments and our fire departments over here. I think we're more community minded. Mayor Fisher, he's a good man. I've talked with him a number of times, but we had a difference of opinion back, I believe it was April of 2020. And it was right at the COVID was going on, and restaurants had been closed up, and you know it was killing our service industry. It was hurting a lot of small businesses, and every step of the way we followed what our governor was telling us to do. Whatever the governor of Indiana was giving direction, you know, no more than 25 people in a room at a time, no more, you know, 50% restaurant capacity, you know, and there was a time I think restaurants had to close. I was sitting on my couch on a Friday night back in, I believe it was April of 2020, and it was after 9 o'clock, and I look at my phone, it's ringing, Mayor Fisher. And I'm like, wow, on a Friday night, really? Took the call, said hello, and he was very upset. And you know, Kentucky, if you followed along with COVID, whether you're not going to get into the politics of it, but Indiana and Kentucky have had disagreements. Their governors have sought out to do things differently. I don't know who's right or who's wrong, but I'm going to listen to the governor of the state of Indiana. And the governor of Indiana had just said that earlier that day, restaurants can open back up to, I think at that point he said 50% capacity or 75%, whatever he said. Mayor Fisher was like, well, you're not going to let them do that, are you? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? We've taken direction from our governor all along. Well, I thought we were in this together, you know. He's like, you know, that's, people from Louisville are going to flock over to Jeffersonville. I'm like, well, I hope they do, you know. that's the best news our businesses could possibly get. So he was upset with me, and he said he was going to, you know, call other city leaders around and convince them not to do it. And I'm like, you know, hey, have at it. You do what you want to do. I'm going to do what I want to do. And, you know, at the end of the day, we'll see who wins. I wasn't trying to be a smart ass. I just, you know, again, it's like the school system, and my job is to protect the people of Jeffersonville. His job is to protect the people of Louisville. So he got mad, and he said he was going to call the news channels and let them know what an irresponsible mayor I am. And just said, well, good luck to you. I'll talk to you soon. A long time went by. He reached out a couple of months ago and asked. Again, Mayor Fisher's a good man. He's under an enormous amount of pressure over there. And you know, he's what they call a lame duck. He can't run for re-election again. He's in his last term. He's a good guy. but it's okay, you know, for the mayor of Louisville and the mayor Jeff to disagree. There's nothing wrong with that. I wish we could all have respectful disagreements. I've been called many names. I've been, you know, insulted. That's okay. You know, I got a thick skin. But honestly, if we want to improve and we want to continue moving forward, it doesn't need to lead to a fight. It doesn't need to lead to, you know, trashing the reputation of somebody. Disagreements are fine. If I didn't want people to disagree with me, I'd have people surrounding me who simply said, yes, Mike, yes, Mike, yes, Mike. I don't want that. I want people to disagree with me. You can have disagreements and still be respectful. And I love Louisville.
Hello, Mike. To go off Kendia's question, when the walking bridge was created, did you have to work with the city of Louisville on that? And what's your whole history on how the walking bridge came about?
I'm glad you brought that up. There's a lot of interesting stuff with the walking bridge. When I came in as mayor, you know, the bridge hadn't been constructed, the ramp hadn't been constructed. The previous mayor got upset. I'd beaten him in the election, and probably a week after that November of 2011 election, I got a call from the state, NDOT, and they needed an emergency meeting with me because the states had already committed millions of dollars to making sure this project worked. And the previous mayor had basically said, I'm done with it. We don't have the money, we're not doing it. That was the last thing the state of Indiana wanted to hear. They had design plans for a canal that ran through downtown, that ran underneath the bridge, that ran underneath the flood wall, and it was a very, very expensive project. But just the design work to build the ramp was $4 million over budget. The mayor at that time of Jeff didn't have the money, so he just said, we're not doing it, we're done. NDOT reaches out to me, hey, we need to have a meeting. So at that time, I've been elected, but I've not yet taken office in January of 2012. And, you know, they're like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, well, the first thing I'm gonna do is find a way to cut $4 million off of this project. We are gonna do this walking bridge. We are gonna build this ramp. We are gonna make a beautiful park. And we did it. It took a long time, but, and I remember when the ramp was being built, people were getting impatient. It was a $10 million ramp, not bridge, just the ramp itself that came from the bridge that landed in, that was a $10 million project. But it took design, it took construction, and you know, a lot of people were upset. You could walk across Kentucky at that time, and you got to a fence on the Kentucky side because you couldn't walk in. People were getting irritated. I was getting irritated. I wanted the construction to take place quicker. I wanted the state to step up and do some things. And I remember sometimes I'm not so polished, but the person in charge of the state came down and they're like, well, we're not going to open it until like July. And I said, by God, we're opening this bridge in May. And they're like, no, you're not. We will have state police officers there, and I don't give a darn. We're opening this bridge. And they never had to call my bluff because I think what I said basically sped them up a little bit. And but as it was getting close to the point to open the bridge, the mayor of Louisville was in charge of doing it. The bridge belongs to Kentucky. So it's our property up to where you hit the bridge and then it becomes Kentucky. So anyhow, we're getting close, it's middle of May, and his plan was to do, he wanted to open it on May 21st. And I'm like, well, shoot, okay. The Tuesday, the day before that, was my birthday. And I thought, man, it'd be so cool if we could open that on my birthday instead. But Mayor of Louisville says we're going to do it on the 21st. Well, there was a bad storm coming in on the 21st, and it was like a Monday. And the mayor of Louisville says, Mike, we'd like to open this bridge tomorrow if we could. And I'm like, well, heck yeah, let's do that. So on May 20th of 2014, we met. I walked up with my kids from the Indiana side. He walked up, had a bunch of people there. I've got a really cool picture that made the newspaper. Mayor and I and my kids are around, and we're cutting a ribbon, and the news media is there, and Mayor Fisher's talking, and he's like, Mayor, do I understand this correctly? Is this really your 50th birthday today? And I was like, yeah, it is, and this is a pretty cool present to get. So we opened the Big Four Bridge on May 20th of 2014. Now, if you ever go up there on the middle of the bridge, there's a plaque. The governor of Kentucky couldn't come down on May 20th, so there's a different date that says it was, opened or celebrated sometime in June or July. But it's been an incredible tool for the city of Jeff. There's more than 100,000 people a month that cross that bridge. It's been a huge part of the reason why we've had so many restaurants and businesses succeed in Jeff. It's brought a whole new atmosphere of a nighttime fun event space. You've seen strong residential growth down there, and you've seen Franklin Square Elementary prosper there. So where were you all at? 2012, 10 years ago. Think about it. You all were in grade school, I'm sure. Think about, most of your life, you've had that bridge. For those of us that grew up around downtown prior to that Big Four Bridge being there and all the fun that's come along with it, Jeffersonville is one of the coolest places in the world. You mix together, a partnership with our school system, thriving on quality of life and parks and arts and all these jobs. I'm telling you right now, you've got no better place to land than the hometown you're living in right now. This is a great place to be single. This is a great place for young families. Jeffersonville is a great place for retirees. Everything you want's right here. And we get to cross that bridge. If we want to fly somewhere internationally, we go to Louisville, 15 minutes away. We've got a lot of good things going for us here in Jeff. And the Big Four Bridge is a big part of that.
Hey there, Mike. Last time you were with us here, you talked about how sometimes you thought you could make a bigger difference as a local official in your communities. And I was wondering how that process worked between local and state governments, how that process works when you want to you want to pass a law or, a proposal or something like that.
Well, I'm not passing laws. It's interesting. Our local congressman announced, Trey Hollingsworth announced last week he was not going to run for re-election. And there were a number of people that reached out. They thought, well, that'd be something Mike's going to be interested in. Nothing could be further from the truth. For Mike Moore to leave Jeffersonville, Indiana for Washington, D.C., that scenario does not work. I have no interest. It's, everybody that knows me knows I've got a short attention span. And I hate to sit in the car driving around. I hate to sit on a plane. So nothing about being in Washington, D.C. or Indianapolis appeals to me. I'm glad there are people willing to do it. But again, I'll go back to, I think I got the coolest job in the world. I grew up here, I played Little League ball. I feel like the neighborhood of Oak Park raised me. I literally felt like I had 30 sets of parents in Oak Park that were always looking out for little Mikey. I was following my brother around everywhere. Chuck, my brother, had a speech impediment when he was young, and people would ask him his name. He'd say, "I'm Duck, I'm Duck, I'm Duck." Well, he was Duck, I was Little Duck. But Oak Park was, full of people that just looked after me. And to go to Riverside, to go to Parkview, to go through Jeff High, and come back here and raise my kids here. I had my business here, and then to step in as mayor, this is the most fulfilling job anybody can have. I didn't have to move 600 miles away and start anew. I know this city as well as anybody. I know the neighborhoods, I know the streets, I know the people. Jerry's Restaurant was a fantastic career for me and my family. I was in the restaurant business for 30 years. My family had Jerry's Restaurant for 50 years. To step up and be the mayor is pretty cool, but look at what we've done. I would ask, can you ever remember the city of Jeffersonville seeing so much positive change in any 10-year period? And it's because I've got people like Andy Crouch, Kenny Cavanaugh, Kim Calabro, Rob Ways. I've got some, Paul Northam. I've got some really strong people around me. And most of them I knew when I was a kid growing up. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. But, for a politician that wants to go to Washington, D.C. or Indianapolis, you're either going to vote the way the party tells you to vote, or they're going to beat you in the next election. And when I was asked to run for mayor by the party chairman of the Republican Party, I told him, look, there's Democrats I like, and there's Republicans I don't like. Don't ever tell me who I can support or who I cannot support. And I've always had that freedom. And I've never felt like anybody told me or expected me to do something. And I get to do what I want. So I don't think you get that opportunity in Indianapolis or in Washington. So wouldn't trade my job for anything.